Can you hear me now? Yes, you can, because we've turned the audio on, and that's how it works. Hopefully you can also hear Seb's loud typing. Fun for everyone. Now listen, people watching this early, at the beginning of the video, leaving comments saying, the video starts at this time. Very helpful, thank you. But just know, when you do that we do cut this bit out. It just takes YouTube hours to process it. So by the time it's tomorrow morning, if people are watching this tomorrow, they won't need your comment of it starting at this time. Not to say you're not being very helpful, but just to let you all know now, as we begin, that is the case. YouTube's thing is just slow.
T. Robinson wants us to turn the audio off, actually.
Right.
So
well, T. Robinson,
a nice change of pace.
What you can do is you can just press the mute button on your computer and watch us as if there were no sound.
Yep.
And that's a solution which helps everyone. Of course, that's Seb, and JJ's here too. We're going to talk about the football tonight. I'm kind of sad we didn't do this last night, because last night's game was amazing. This game was a little less exciting, still a valuable game. And as I look at JJ now, I notice that Seb's microphone arm is directly between our eyes. So that's right. I'll just go here a little bit, and you
I
go
could
there
do
a
this,
bit.
but I don't know where I am on the actual cameras, because Don's moved all around, you see.
Yeah.
That's better, isn't it?
Oh, that's fine, yeah. Are you ready to talk about the football?
I sure am. Always ready to talk about
Are you ready, Don?
I've already forgotten everything that happened in that last game.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay. I would like a skeleton.
Here we go. Hello and welcome to the Tifo live stream. Yes, that's right. This was live when it happened. I'm now joined by JJ Bull the Bullet.
Yo.
Hello. And Seb Stafford Blore.
Hello. Also, my wife is in the chat. Hello to my wife.
Oh.
Hello.
Seb's wife is in the chat.
Hello to Seb's wife.
Good to know. Okay. Well, listen, we have just finished watching the Liverpool 2-0 Villarreal game, which was perhaps much as expected, maybe not. I don't know. We'll discuss that. But also we'll be discussing the game from yesterday, one of the classic Champions League games of all time, maybe. I believe the score was Man City 4, 3 Real Madrid. Is that correct?
Done.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed that.
7 goals in a big... And I'm not reading that off of a computer screen like normal. I just remembered it.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I suppose let's do tonight's game first. We all sat down to watch this, and JJ's eyes when I said let's do that game first rolled back so far into your head. We all sat down to watch it, all kind of anticipating a bit of a tough watch.
Yeah.
We thought there was a good shout for no goals in the game, Seb, but there were goals in the game.
There were indeed goals. We had to wait for them. But actually, Villarreal did a pretty good job for much of the game, and I really like their low block. And you know what's weird? When a team like Villarreal, who done very, 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 very well to get to the Champions League semi-final, they come out in a not a negative way, but a pragmatic tactical approach, and they get attacked for it. They get sort of like, well, you should open up and let this powerhouse of European football just plow right through you. Yeah, it's kind of weird. There's always that moaning during why are you playing with gaffer tape.
Yeah, this isn't mainly an audio visual experience, and they're unfurling a roll of gaffer tape.
No, no one can hear that.
No, probably not. Yeah. Anyway, go on. You were talking about
anyway, and it's just you. This wasn't unique to tonight. You hear it all the time. Whenever there's a high-powered side who aren't allowed to play the game in their specific way that suits all of their abilities, you get a kind of a chorus of complaints.
Let's make a distinction, though.
Yes, indeed.
I would say very much fine for them to play that way. Clearly, as you said, it's Villarreal, right? Going up at toe-to-toe, is that how they say it? Toe-to-toe against Liverpool.
That would do it.
Not a sensible thing to do. They would lose the game by more goals. It would be, probably the most likely outcome, right? So it's fine to do that because they're maximising their chances of getting something out of the game. It's okay to think that's a bit boring to watch or less boring than what happened yesterday. But again, that's a subjective thing.
Yeah, 100%. But then Villarreal aren't there to entertain us. They're there to kind of, to satiate their own ambition and play the way that gives them the most chance to success.
No, I'm not sure when you started that sentence by saying a football team isn't there to entertain people watching.
No, definitely not. Definitely
Really?
not. No, because it's
What's
not there
their
to.
purpose?
It's not there for the neutral. It's there to
For the fan.
for the fan, and the fan's rooted in aspiration.
Sure.
The fan is an ambitious person. They want the very best for their side.
So when you said us, you meant neutrals?
Yes.
Fine.
We are, unless
Neutrals.
I have, there are no Villarreal fans on the Tifo staff, as far as I know.
No, I don't think so.
No, not
Sure.
really. You're a Pau Torres fan. We know
I like Pau Torres.
You really do like.
I'm
Pau
a fan
Torres.
of his.
Yes, you are. Yes,
Yeah.
you are indeed. But you also kind of were willing to condemn him to potentially play for Manchester United at one point, which sounded very miserable.
I thought that would be funny.
It was a very strange.
It just seems like a move that might happen.
Yeah, but you began the conversation by saying how much you liked him, and then you suggested putting him in an utterly miserable situation, and it was very contradictory. It confused me a lot.
Punishment is often can be confused with love.
I wasn't.
So-
I hadn't eaten. The food hadn't arrived. I was hungry. I wasn't
Sure.
kind of ready to deal with that kind of
No, for
oddness
sure.
from you.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
I understand.
But yeah, no, you see it every now and again when Sean Dyche's Burnley would snag a draw at Stamford Bridge. You hear this kind of but it's just prehistoric football. It's just awful. It's just it's like, okay,
Works though.
why'd you play like that?
Yeah.
Why'd you spend £1 billion on players?
Also, there's a different kind of satisfaction in watching a team of players who doggedly defend tightly over the course of 90 minutes and frustrate a vastly superior, in terms of talent, opposition. There's something quite funny about that, JJ.
Is there?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe you're the wrong person to ask because your favourite player is Pedri and you love rainbows.
Oh.
Like you're a kind of like you want all the football to be magic all the time.
What I've done here, Joe, is you were talking to me and I've stopped listening halfway through the
Right.
question. So I'm trying
My
to remember
question
what
for
it was,
you
but I think it
is this, right? You get a different kind of satisfaction at times out of watching a team stubbornly defend against a better opposition.
It's good if you support a smaller club. Like that's how the small teams beat teams, especially in things like the FA Cup, or a team can get through to the late rounds of European football sometimes, I guess is kind of what Villarreal have done to get to where they are, right?
Sure.
Same thing. It's quite nice seeing them go up against teams with... It's funny when it's against someone like PSG, when they've got billionaires on the pitch who think they're all it. They
Sure.
think they're so cool. And then Shelbyville come along,
Yeah.
and they are all defensive. Just like Seb said, he likes the low block.
Hey, should we draw a distinction though? Because I like that kind of situation where it's
Don't get too far from your
I shall
microphone
not.
there, Seb,
Okay.
because
I shall-
I mean, really, after, honestly, 4 years of working here,
I get excited.
you still
about
have
it.
to be told.
But I get,
I understand your
wrapped up in
excitement,
what we're saying,
but,
and I kind of
Let's be aware of the listeners.
I'm not a multitasker. We know this. I know one task and I can do it properly, but then if you ask, add new tasks in, I get confused. Anyway, distinction. So I like that kind of situation when it's tactical. When it involves cheating and milking the clock and nonsense, not so much.
If it's your team, though, again, it's one of the things that's very difficult. It's quite funny with football. There's a lot of footballers individually who cause these sorts of things. The best example I can think of is Scott Brown, who used to play for Celtic in Scotland. And when you played against him, he was the most annoying, worst person you've ever known, and you want him to go away. But when he plays for your team, all of a sudden, it's brilliant. It's really funny, and you can see that he's just winding people up, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just winding them up, and he's winding the fans up as a result of that as well.
Sure.
I like that. That's funny as well.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Also, less funny, but more good and fun. Sadio Mane.
Oh, he's a good player.
I mean, I know the stat that was discussed at some point during the game that Salah has scored 12 goals in his last 15 Champions League games. But I feel like of the later rounds, Sadio Mane's he's Liverpool's king.
Do you remember the cool stat that I told you about 20 minutes ago?
No, of course not.
Well, it's that tonight Sadio Mane became the joint highest African goal scorer in the Champions League knockout rounds with Didier Drogba.
Yes, I remember now.
Which is pretty good company to be keeping.
That is good company.
Yeah.
He's also changed position recently, or not changed position. He's just been used as a central striker rather than a wide left player. So he's been playing through the middle for Liverpool for the last few weeks, actually. And that means they can play Luis Diaz on the left. Jota's been replacing him up front through the middle. Maybe he can Jota a bit of a rest or something like that, because he played a lot of games early in the season. Maybe, I can't mark out quite why. I think Firmino's still injured, I think. But he's been very good there. And also that's where, as if I recall correctly, he was playing for Senegal, I think, in the cup that they won, the African Nations. Which maybe just suits his skill set now, because it's not that he's old, but I think he's one of the best players in the world about 2 years ago. And I think Something's happened to him where his level's dropped a little bit since then. He hasn't scored as many goals.
Last 2 months, though, he's been
Well,
totally back to
That's
his
the
best.
move there. So I think he just needed the change. Maybe it's different defenders having to deal with him. They don't know quite how to prepare because they don't know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's somewhere between doing that false nine thing that the other lads in the middle do, but also playing the inside forward off the wing and playing as a 9. So they're just constantly rotating positions. He's really good at it.
Well, Liverpool as a whole, JJ, I feel like they've kind of cracked this sort of game. This is in this game you line up against a team like Villarreal, a team that's going to frustrate you as an opponent, going to play in a low block, going to make it very difficult for you to find space and score goals. I've seen Liverpool play in games like that over the last 3 months, and always find a way to score at some point. And it tends to be around the time that they did today. They then scored another one almost immediately afterwards, as if the dam had finally broken. Is that just because they're so good? Are they doing something specifically which enables them to break down the low block, or is it just the quality of players?
It is a mixture of them having amazing players who are all entirely familiar, like with 100% team chemistry, but also know the manager's instructions, whoever's telling them what to do, inside out. They're playing very aggressive, so it's high risk, very high reward at the moment, and they can push as high as they want, squeeze the pitch. The other teams cannot escape, so then it's just a case of fast tempo and looking to force passes into places where you don't really want them. If you play the predictable pass where you take a touch and pass, the other team can predict it. But what they often do is try and, like, one person will play a long pass and it's a quick fire, and then suddenly someone else fires at somewhere else you don't expect, and then the other team has to guess, and in that 1 second is where they find a little chance. And also the delivery from wide is always really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's like Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. Like, Robertson's amazing. Getting involved. The fullbacks are basically extra forwards. Also, they can attack like that because they've got Van Dijk and Matip. Konate today as well. Like, he's such a good player as well. It's two amazing centre backs with speed to get back into position. Yeah,
exactly that. And also, like, I think what strikes me about them is there are so many players that can do different things in the penalty box. So you've got the obvious ones like Mane, Salah, Firmino when he plays, Jota when he plays. But then you think, right, Thiago's a problem from range. Henderson can score the occasional goal. Naby Keita has actually started to play quite well too. And like you're seeing the best of him since he moved in. Both of those fullbacks can be, especially Robertson. Like, I know he was disallowed tonight, but he's a back post threat. Scored against Everton the weekend. He's someone that will go to that back post area, almost to the 6-yard box and be a goal threat. So even
but he's so good that when JJ says he's good, that isn't undone by the fact that JJ thinks every Scottish player is good.
Exactly.
Like, you in the chat as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Also, as I read the chat with lots of people saying that, it did remind me that there was a point during the game when you said Robertson's so good. In my head, I just thought, of course you're saying that. You're just saying that. I know he's good. I know. That's the perfect,
he's the best left back in the world.
Disguise.
I mean, that's a kind of stupid, redundant thing to say, isn't it? Who's the best individual in the world?
Who's another one? One more left back. Can we name one more?
I mean, Cancelo when he plays there. If you put Alaba at left back, I know he's a centre back now, really, but if you played Alaba at left back,
you had me at Cancelo.
Yeah, Cancelo's a fabulous player.
Kieran Tierney is a good player. Very good player.
Also, you know what? When you're playing against a low block, if you think about the different types of goals some of those players can score, it must be so difficult to game plan to face Liverpool. Because you know the kind of the threats you're facing, but there are so many of them that you can't sort of take all of them away at the same time. Because, okay, so if you're taking away Salah's space on the touchline, then you're giving it up somewhere else. You're kind of stretching the pitch over to compensate, and you allow a potentially Mane in this central role, or a Keita, or a Fabinho, or a Thiago to kind of move into that central area. And they've all got the ability to either score themselves, potentially, and some of them from distance, or to create something really intricate in the penalty box. It's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. They're playing so well.
Yeah.
The other best left backs in the world, apparently, according to FIFA, are Jordi Alba.
Jordi Alba.
Yeah. Theo Hernandez.
Theo Hernandez is a good player.
Luke Shaw.
Well, I mean...
Marcos Acuna at Sevilla.
Okay.
Luca Digne. A lot of people think Alphonso Davies is good. I think he's all right.
System player, but like a spectacular system player.
I think if he wasn't absolutely rapid fast, I'm not sure.
If he was Scottish, maybe that'd be.
Yeah, probably,
I think he gets a little bit of a raw deal, because I think like all really, really quick fullbacks, wingbacks, like there's that temptation to talk about recovery speed, whereas in reality, like he plays a slightly different position as a result of his pace. So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. So I can kind of forgive the defensive moments. And also,
he plays more of like a forward for Canada as well. I think,
yeah. It would be interesting to see the role he plays in the World Cup. That'll be really interesting to see kind of what response, whether they kind of alibi him as being, as a result of him being one of the most influential players. And because also he hasn't really been fit. He had that problem, that post-COVID problem with his heart. So interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to throw I was going to say a saying that doesn't make sense. I was going to say I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, that's a saying.
I know that is a saying, but that's not the saying I meant
that?
to say. It doesn't. What I'm saying is, I don't want. Oh, good lord!
Do you want to have a reset?
Hold on, yeah, let me reset.
Okay. You know,
is the
it's been quite a long day.
is the tie over? I should have just said that. Why did I think about babies and bathwater? Is the tie done? Is my question. Who's talked less? JJ.
I think that's true. It's done.
Yeah. It's probably done, right? Let's be
Villarreal
honest.
have-
Liverpool look like the team that are going to win, don't they?
They're amazing. They're one of the best teams.
Yeah. Are they the best team in the world?
Probably. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Because
It is weird.
Man City are also amazing. Real Madrid are clearly still very good.
Yeah.
And they've got brilliant players and they just won't go away. Liverpool, I think I was listening to, I was doing my research last night, listening to Sam Lee's podcast. What's that one called? The Why Always Us? The Manchester City Athletic podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to their take on the Man City game last night. And one of the things he said, the difference between City and Liverpool, like Liverpool may be more relentless, City a bit more in control of things, but Liverpool take their chances and City don't. But then that's what you think of. But when you look at actually the numbers behind like conversion rates of chances and things like that, they're actually very similar. It's just that City seem to, like both teams, I think Liverpool take their actual chances that they create, whereas City score loads of goals that no one should ever score, and then miss, like Sterling, Jesus missed all these easy chances from about 6 yards out.
Yeah.
Don't know why I said like 6 yards out, but I did.
It's a nice little, twist on traditional pronunciation.
Yeah.
Okay. That was all right.
Well, I'm going to go with it. We'll try it again later.
Yeah.
See if you notice.
Fine. Well, there we go. The Athletic has lots of podcasts to offer, by the way.
Sure does. All of them excellent.
Well, many of them very, very good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fine. Well, is there anything else to say about this game? Was there people that you wanted to reference specifically?
No, not really. I've got a reference that I was going to draw from last night's game back to this one. But that would probably work if we talk about that one first, and then I'll kind of call back to it.
Unorthodox.
Otherwise, it'll get lost in this.
It's a 1-2-1.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
It's,
Okay, fine. Well, Man City 4, 3 Real Madrid. I very sadly missed the first half of this game, but I joined the both of you in the Old Red Lion Theatre Pub, the best place in London to watch football, for the second half. And what a treat, Seb.
Hey, Old Red Lion was banging last night. It was great. Really was. Great atmosphere in there.
Sure, yeah.
It
was when you got hold of that hammer.
It sure was. Yeah, I got carried away. But it was fun. It was such a fun game, and it was when you draw at the beginning of the season, when when it's August and you're imagining what a Champions League semi-final is going to look like. It never ever is. It never lives up to that expectation.
Oh.
And this one did.
This was like the 2014 World Cup.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's not true, but I feel like every game in the 2014 World Cup was the best game I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and this game felt like one that could have been in that tournament.
So all the group games in 2014 were great, and the knockout stages were awful.
No, isn't that the one when Brazil-Germany happened?
Yeah, but I wouldn't kind of draw a comparison with this one, though.
7-1. No, it's just a great game.
I see. Game. I mean,
I'm just saying the wasn't
the people of Brazil beg to differ, but yeah, a spectacle. Anyway, this was
the People's Republic of Joe Devine loved it. That's what I'll say. Loved that game.
JJ talk.
Yes.
You had a really nice time.
Great games.
I was sitting next to you. You had a really nice time.
Is it one of those games? Let me ask you this: is it one of those games that's not hard to analyze, but almost pointless because it's just obvious why it was fun? It was just a good game.
I thought, because when I decided I wanted to do the analysis that we did on Tifo Villarreal, please watch that, by the way. I've been up since 6 a.m. I'm really tired.
Yeah, no one watched that one, did they?
No, they didn't. No,
almost as though you getting up that early was a complete waste of time.
Yeah, it almost does seem like that.
Yeah.
It seems a lot like that.
Yeah.
I did it. I thought people would really like it, but they don't care. Anyway, when I was looking at, thought I'd do the analysis of it. I thought maybe when I looked into how the game actually went, what you'd find is that is just nonsense. There's nothing to do with tactics or system or anything like that. It's just that weird things happen with individual players.
What happened?
What happened? So the systems were both obviously the way they were wanting to play is both 4-3-3, and City did theirs the way they play, where they defend with a 4-4-2. The numbers don't really matter, right? But they both knew where the space was and where the weaknesses were against the other team, and because the teams are so good and the state of play so high, state of play is high. What you notice is that any players who aren't the best player stand out. So I'm trying to say here, so John Stones came in at right back. I think apparently they were letting Kyle Walker and John Stones both trained in the day before to try and play him at right back, but Walker's got some kind of injury.
He's got ankle injury.
Right. Yeah. But then John Stones has a muscle injury, which is why I didn't get hauled off at 36 minutes. But Real worked that out and then started doubling up with Vinicius and Mendy. They were already 2-0 down, or whatever, but they started doubling up in that wide area so they could get. Oh no, what's someone sharing here?
Your video has been shared in the chat.
That's good. Well, that's nice. I hope people can watch that. But yes, something I didn't write in the video was that they did start doubling up on John Stones at right back. Because that's where one of the weaknesses was. I think Zinchenko, they tried to hit him as well. They're trying to break because then you City would have most of the game. De Bruyne was drifting out to the wide areas quite a lot on the left so he could take the ball and drive with it. But mostly it was either individual bits of skill that are beating people and really slight, tiny things. There's a bit in the video, we'll talk about this, where for Real's first goal, City have kind of not dropped the ball, but they've slackened off a little bit because they're 2-0 up, seems a bit easy. I think they take their foot off the gas, and then Real come forward. One of the first times they've done it in the game. Mendy, one of the first times he breaks and actually has the ball rather than just trying to make an overlapping run, moves into the final third. Now, Mahrez is the wide right player, so he should come back and that should be his man to mark, but he's just gone end to end a couple of times, missed a shot, and Foden's just missed one as well. So they've both been running a lot. So understandably, probably a little bit tired. Just need, not running, sprinting full blast because it's about 30 minutes in or whatever. And then because he doesn't make that one sprint, Mendy has the extra yard he needs to send the ball he needs into the back post. So that's the delivery that results in the goal. But then Benzema pulls out this volley that he should never be able to do. Just manages to nip in front of Zinchenko. Really clever positioning. Like he positions himself so he's got Zinchenko behind him. So Zinchenko has to go round like the outside of him to get round. So he's basically got him done. And then
Seb was yawning. I think unconnected, but carry on.
Yeah. Ball comes in and you see Benzema's finish is like a kind of. I don't think you wouldn't ever teach someone how to do that because it's just weird, unique technique. He's just going to be able to hit it like that to put it in the back of the net. But that's because Benzema's amazing. If it's not Benzema, the only other players in the world who probably score that are Ronaldo, Lewandowski, Messi, yeah.
The big ones.
Big ones.
Yeah.
Or everyone else, it would just be a bit of luck. But Benzema, you feel like he'd do that every single time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Benzema, Benzema's Panenka, which sounds like a
outrageous.
Sounds like a restaurant name. That does, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just so wonderfully disrespectful.
It was. I think you described it on the spot as a dirty goal.
Yeah, it was filthy.
Yeah,
because
filthy goal. Not dirty.
I think this is what you want from footballers in that situation, because I think there's got to be little bit of make believe to it, in the sense that as a football watcher, as a fan, you cannot imagine being in that situation and producing that. Mm-hmm. Because most of us, you have to take a penalty, right? Head down, foot through the back of the ball, hope for the best.
Sure.
This guy, not just a Panenka though, it's a Panenka that almost kisses the crossbar as it goes in. It's outrageous.
It made me make a noise.
Yeah.
And
it made everyone in the pub make a noise.
I don't want to be cynical, City guy, seen everything, not surprised by anything. But most of the time, you watch a film or a Netflix series, or you listen to music, and you think, oh, I've heard this, seen it before. I had seen Panenkas before.
You're quite a jaded guy sometimes.
I am jaded.
But
you're right. The disrespect of this, the surprise, it was 100% max entertainment. Yeah, I loved it.
And it's also summed up something which I really enjoyed about last night, which was that with certain teams, like a Real Madrid, who are a great collection of individuals, but also individual players who have achieved a lot in the game, it's amazing how little adversity affects them. So they can go 2-0 down, and a lot of teams in that situation probably lose 4-0.
Sure.
But because it's them, they have this kind of impervious self-belief, which allows them just to think, it's happened, but we'll create something. And then you get that you get the Mendy cross to Benzema, and then that, I know it's pretty much a straight run and it relies on his pace, but the Vinicius Junior goal, like the move he puts on Fernandinho.
Sure. And then they're a bit, in that sense, they're a bit like...
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens to them. And actually,
no, it doesn't.
Villarreal's a good example because their approach is pretty good until they concede it, and then they're finished.
Yeah.
Because they knew then that they didn't have the class to get back into the game. And
Sure.
I'm with JJ. I think the game's probably over.
Whereas one of the fantastic things they did do in the quarterfinal in one of the legs was go a goal down and not panic and carry on playing. I think it's very unfortunate that the second goal came within like a minute of the first. Otherwise, I think we would have seen the same thing we saw in the previous round, which is that they expect that, they're calm, they continue. I mean, that second goal, I can't even remember it now.
Well, it's a Salah ball for Mane, and he's just onside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember the king of offsides?
That's right, I am the king of offsides.
You are, yeah.
Yeah.
Joe has uncanny judgment of offside in real time.
All I'll say, put it this way, all it is that Seb and JJ, Alex included, they can all claim to be better analysts than me. Easy. Because I'm not an analyst, so it's very easy. But I'm quite good at spotting an offside.
You really are.
I am a good offside spotter,
Yeah.
a keen observer of the line, and it's something I bring to the team. I'm just saying, it's just one of the things I bring to the team here is that I was wrong on that instance. I thought he was offside.
The lighthouse.
I'm the lighthouse. Yes.
You're very tall.
Yes.
Very tall.
So you could see over everything from the shore. You could
Sure.
see the pirate boats of offside approach.
The offside pirate boats, yeah, exactly.
And alert us on land to deal with them.
Well, anyway, I mean, the next game.
you don't want to play
one other thing, though, right? Because lost in this is because of the score and because of how the game ended and because of Benzema's moments. Like, Man City won the game, and their level of performance, I thought, was given their last couple of weeks. So they've had to play Liverpool twice. They've had to go.
Who are we talking about now? Man City.
Man City.
Yeah.
They've had to go and play Simeone's Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
And they come out and they play a game of that intensity, which it was so quick. The transitions and the back and forward and the intensity of it was ridiculous. And it never really wavered. I mean, right up until, I forget how much injury time there was, but right up until about the 94th minute, both teams were just swinging at each other. It was amazing. Amazing. And this at this stage of the season too. And it was just a delight of a game. Brilliant.
It's also far from settled.
Yeah, and
Man City going to the second leg a goal up, but they are also going to the Bernabeu.
Yeah, and this we had this conversation right at the beginning of tonight's game, in that like yesterday was an instance of you're kind of glad away goals isn't there, because what you get is essentially an 180-minute football game between two really good sides full of really good players.
Yeah.
Whereas tonight, you think with the away goal, you feel as if maybe if Villarreal can nick something, then the tire's a little bit more on again. Whereas now, another 90 minutes of that home or away doesn't really suit Villarreal.
I don't want to watch that one.
I don't either. But with this, you just think, well, it's going to get that same thing again. As actually Real Madrid's game with Chelsea was kind of like that.
I'm on holiday. I don't have to watch it. I was just going to check which one's on Wednesday, which is the one we'll have to watch before next week's live stream.
So it's going to be Wednesday night. It's going to be JJ and I, and we're going to be doing Real Madrid, Man City.
Is that the game on that night?
Reverse,
Oh, that's great.
It's going to be
That'll
week
be fun.
Tonight. Yeah,
I'll tune in to watch.
Will you though?
No, of course not. Of course not. Anyway, fine. The next leg, I'm not sure we even really want to say anything about it. It's unpredictable. It's exciting. I want it to just be a pure football feast, unadulterated by boring analysis.
DPG says Casemiro will be back, and that is a very good point because they miss Casemiro when he's not there. So that'll be interesting. Add him to the equation, which is kind of a good thing. If you think about how good Kevin De Bruyne was in some of those central areas, I think they could do with a little bit of a Casemiro there.
Fine.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that was the Champions League. We've got a couple more things to do. The first is, what is it? Where's the thing? What am I saying? It's live. I'm saying things. You're voting for something. Where is that on the plan? Oh, here it is. JJ and Seb.
Oh, yeah.
Who incidentally are real journalists. I forget that. get to vote in the Footballer of the Year award. Whose award is this? The FWA, is it?
Football Writers
Association.
Yeah, no, Football Writers Association. So the deadline is at midnight tonight. So we thought...
I saw Adam Crafton tweeting that he'd voted for Virgil van Dijk.
Okay, that's a good shout.
It's a pretty good shout, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you have to vote by midnight tonight. You've got an hour and a half, so you're going to do it now.
I was going to vote live. Yeah. So you get a little code.
You really do need to move back towards your microphone.
Sorry.
You know that.
I am.
Yes,
I'm going to do that. But again, multitasking.
All kinds of punishments.
You directed me towards a task.
Who do you want to vote for to be the best player of the world?
So I had a little bit of a journey this afternoon with this, and I've gone with uncontroversially Mohamed Salah.
Okay.
Because I was veering towards Kevin De Bruyne, and I thought, well, first of all, Kevin De Bruyne has played
of the Premier League.
Yeah. Has played fewer games, and also Mohamed Salah's level has been amazing. Mm-hmm. And he's had a little bit of a tailing off over the last 6 weeks, but in a relative way. Mm-hmm. And he's been absolutely extraordinary. If you think about how well Liverpool have played and how many moments you've probably forgotten from Salah's season.
Sure.
If you go back through it, like it's mind blowing how good he's been at times. So I don't think it's actually that close.
Aidan Cassidy in the chat putting in a suggestion for Joe Linton.
Oh, do you have the shirt in the office?
Yeah.
Oh, you could just.
It's not a bad one. And Gordon Elwood expects JJ to vote for Billy Gilmore. So there's that.
I have voted.
You have voted.
I could vote for anyone.
Who are you going to vote for?
Well, I'm torn between doing a proper answer and the thing is you have to respect this because we are actual journalists.
Yeah, so I think if you mock the voting live on YouTube,
if I vote Fred again,
you might not be in the Football Writers Association tomorrow. So I think, who do you genuinely think deserves to win the award?
I mean, the obvious one is Salah, and that's probably who I'm going to put on the vote, even though everyone does that.
Jack says Stephen Naismith.
Could you make Seb's made an argument for Mohamed Salah, right?
Yeah.
I think that there's not an argument for Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, I mean they're probably the two most important players, but I think you could put in like Riyad Mahrez has been great this season, not the player of the year. Mm-hmm. I like watching Cancelo. I think Alexander-Arnold has been again a next level for Liverpool. Trying to think, I like Van Dijk. Bernardo Silva earlier in the season was superb.
Yeah, if he'd kept that form up, he scored an absolutely delightful goal.
The problem
yesterday.
is like it's recency bias. You see players play now and think, Thiago, he should be it. He's only played like 15 games or something like that.
I think you'd be allowed to pick Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
It's probably on the edge of okay.
The thing with the Writers' Awards is meant to be like not what the players pick one. So the PFA award is the players who voted. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. And the Football Writers' Award. The way I learned about this was from playing Football Manager. Like everything I seem to ever talk about.
Sure.
But the awards you get at the end of the season, the writers choose it, and the writers, it turns out, are people like me.
And is it often that the results are the same? Do the players and the writers tend to pick the same person?
Generally, I mean, you do
close.
get a bit of similarity, but there's the odd anomaly. So you get the odd year when Scott Parker won it when he was at West Ham, and so you get the odd one where it's like writers, footballers, and this is a guess and it's just interpreting the results. They tend to be a bit more literal with it, whereas writers, and naturally because of the profession, they go a little bit more with the story sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to talk about this. So I wonder whether a lot of the winners get it. It's because there's a sort of culture or narrative created by the people who are then voting on it.
100%.
So within the press box, again, I think all this behind the scenes stuff about press is very interesting because I've been in it, so I see it. But the stories that get done on the back page are often informed by what actually happens on the pitch or things you get from sources. But also sort of get created and become their own story, which doesn't actually exist.
It can.
I know I'm loosely what I'm trying to say, but I think it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, but the game is about if the game was covered purely on the basis of that feels like it was too close.
No, it's not.
Okay, if the game, I'm just saying it now, and there's just a hand that reaches across my screen.
There you go.
If the game was just about what happened on the pitch rather than kind of some of the more romanticized aspects of it, I'm not talking about like gossip and stuff. I just mean like the stories of what players do, like Christian Eriksen. Okay, there's two ways of looking at Christian Eriksen's season. One, the very excellent contribution he's made to Brentford. They're not in the position that they're in at the moment without him joining the club, but also what it means to have Christian Eriksen back and things like that.
Player of the year.
But it's a semi-serious part of the conversation.
No, I get
it's
it,
been
yeah.
one of my favorite things of the year is to see him. We were all together when what happened to him happened. Producer Donna, who's off camera, was here too. And it's incredibly upsetting.
We were preparing to do a live stream and then we didn't.
And we went off the night, and it was it was awful. And then to see him
was
come
awful.
back, and
Also,
it was just
we didn't. I remember that day we didn't even find out that he wasn't dead until we'd already left the studio as well. There was such a long lag time between that news coming out and what everyone saw on the telly.
I remember we were standing outside the office, and I remember Dom was the first person who got the news and was like, "He's alive," and it was just like, that's overwhelmingly good news. And so to see him come back and to do some of the things he's done, it's just
it's lovely.
Wonderful.
Well, there's a couple of shouts in the chat for other people as well. I'm not sure, like other people mentioned. Rudiger is a name that's come up. I mean, had a pretty good season. I don't think probably not a serious contender for Player of the Year, but has had a very good
Chelsea.
season.
Yeah,
I
absolutely
think
fantastic.
Rodri at Man City would be another one. I think he's been absolutely superb this season.
Alexander-Arnold.
Kane has a shout in here.
I mean, I see Kane and Son as having played really well in patches. I don't think like they've had great moments, but I wouldn't put them quite at that level this year.
Yeah, and someone else made it. Someone else suggested Alisson.
Yeah, very good shot.
Who has been very good.
He's been excellent.
Yeah,
he really, really has.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it just kind of has to be Salah. Like he is the most. This is a stupid thing to say. The most messy-ish sort of player in the league. He's the one you could see. He would start for Real.
That's why they call in Egypt. That's why they call Messi the Egyptian Salah, isn't it? The Egyptian Messi. No, the Argentinian. I can't remember. You get the point I'm trying to make. I want to go home.
Let's do that then. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote for Mo Salah. I think he's been the best player, and as a football writer,
the Argentinian Salah.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, right.
Is a kind of joke nickname for Messi. You get the little inversion. What they've done there is they've twisted it. They've taken your expectations and they've turned your expectations upon their head, and therein lies the humour. You know,
I voted.
You voted. Yeah. Great. Okay. Should we take one question before we go?
Yes.
One.
Oh, that sounds fun. I like that.
Can we have one question in the chat, please? And
the Tifo Show live.
When we get the question,
you will have been answered.
You will have been answered. A little Tifo Show live. By the way, people watching at this stage, if you haven't been watching the Tifo Football Show, I encourage you to do so. Nay, I implore you to do so. On Mondays, we release the Tifo Football Show every Monday, and it's lots of fun. You can ask questions, and we will answer them. And it's lovely. Okay, the questions are starting to come in now. Yes.
What's your favourite species of octopus?
That's not the question.
Calvin Ramsey at Aberdeen, as someone's put it in here. I know it's a Scottish
That is
thing.
not the question.
Well, he won the Scottish.
No.
He won the Football Writers Young Player of the Year award, playing for a team that might end up getting relegated.
Okay,
he'll end up at a big Premier League club really soon. It might be this summer.
What's his name?
Calvin Ramsey.
Okay.
I think he could end up.
Do you know what I did? I knee jerk rejected you. Because you were talking about a Scottish player.
It's Aberdeen. I know what the thing is, and it's barely interesting. But there's a lot of players that a lot of teams look for the Scottish League because it's a cheap market and they can get good players out of there. Watford were really heavily in for Lewis Ferguson last summer. He's at Aberdeen. He'll be playing. I'd imagine he'll be top 10 Championship, if not Premier League, at some point soon.
Sure.
But Calvin Ramsey has a future, I believe, in top league football.
What is he as a footballer? Tell me about
He's a right back. He's a little bit like Trent Alexander-Arnold, actually.
Okay.
Ball playing, playmaker, fullback. He's not as good.
Okay.
Just to be clear about that.
That's some build-up.
I think Nathan Patterson at Everton is a really good player, but just can't get in the Everton team. Does well for Scotland. But yeah, so that's a couple of transfers to look out for. You'll almost certainly see, I think, Lewis Ferguson, Calvin Ramsey leave for a bit of money in the summer.
There was a question in here, a good one, actually, which was West Ham Rangers final? Europa League.
RB Leipzig, West Ham final.
Yeah.
And I think RB Leipzig win it.
Who are West Ham playing again? Frankfurt?
Eintracht Frankfurt, yeah.
Are they going to beat Frankfurt?
Frankfurt have got a couple of really dangerous players. Kamada is just a wonderful footballer who just is criminally underappreciated.
This is Thursday night, this game, by the way.
This is Thursday night, yeah.
Are they both tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kamada's the one to watch out for, but they and Borre up front is a really interesting player. Ndicka is a big centre back who could potentially go to a really high level in the game. A little bit unpredictable, kind of form wise, but like super player potentially might get a big move in the summer. So Frankfurt are dangerous. Like that is by no means a buy for West Ham, but I think they'll probably manage to get through. But then Leipzig is so talented, and they're starting to play really. They lost against Union the weekend, but Union Berlin, but they are. They're just playing so well under Tedesco. So I think they'll get through against Rangers.
Thank you. And one more before we finish. Several people asking Young Player of the Year. Did you also vote for Young Player of the Year?
No,
I didn't.
I think that's PFA.
That's
isn't it?
PFA. You don't get an FWA Young Player of the Year.
Okay.
I would heavily think that would be someone like Conor Gallagher. I would have thought.
Yeah.
It's 23 and under, isn't it?
Yeah.
Young Player of the Year.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of people included in that.
Amanda Broja.
Jacob Ramsey is in there. I would have thought too. He's I think he's a great player in the making. And maybe somebody like, I think I might be right in saying that Ibrahima Konate is 23.
Right.
So he'd be eligible and he would be in that conversation.
Phil Foden.
Yeah, I guess. I suppose. I don't know.
Best young players in the world.
Pedri.
Well, he plays in Spain.
And a couple of people saying Saka. Yeah, absolutely. Saka.
Saka
would be in the conversation too.
Oh, should be. It should just be Saka.
Was Saka, like, I feel like Saka's got a lot better in a year. Like, he was a good player 12 months ago. He's a really good one now.
Yeah.
It's a really quick development.
When he took that penalty the other day, who was that against?
Chelsea.
That was against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And was he one of the players that missed in the Euros final?
He missed the penalty.
But he took that penalty against Chelsea with such confidence as well.
Yeah.
And you know, that's lovely, isn't it?
United as well. Did he play against Man United and score penalties?
Scored penalties both games, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I agree with Seb, but he's got a lot better. I think he's much better than he was.
I thought he was originally a little bit of an Arsenal hype job. Now, absolutely not.
I thought he was like a really good young player who could definitely play at that level and be fine. But now I think he might actually be into the.
No, he's just a really genuinely good player.
Can I say 100%. Also, people referencing that Trent Alexander-Arnold is also young enough.
Wow.
23. Well, I don't know if he would have. Has he turned 24? I don't know.
Not sure.
What the rule is. Yeah.
Just completely forgot. Oh no, I was going to say, isn't it nice when you see a young player come through who's really good and then plays at a high level and then continues to get better? Because I feel like what happens too often is that young players, particularly young attackers, get to a high level quite quickly and then they just sort of stop developing or they stop progressing when you expect them to. You think because they're 19, 20 years old and they're already playing like that by the time they're 26, they must be like the best player in the world. But obviously, people's development spurts are at different stages.
Level though, right, when they start playing, because then people figure them out and they pay more attention to them and just deny them the space. They maybe lose a bit of their drive because they've reached it early. I think that's a big thing of it. Is that if you break into the team really early and you're a first team player and you're scoring 15 goals a season, you've sort of already made it. So you have to have that proper, almost unhealthy drive within you to want to get to the next level to keep that going.
I wonder if that's a little bit about the club, because if you get into that position where you're a first teamer young, you need to be challenged by players that are coming through you. So you need an aggressive transfer policy around you so that you have to keep your place. You're not just kind of a guy that's in the team for 10 years regardless. You have to be someone who's, bad 5 games, you're under threat of losing your place. On Saka, may I recommend my friend Musa from the Stadio podcast, his very fine interview in GQ with Bukayo Saka. It's excellent. Go and have a read of that.
I mean, listen to the Stadio podcast. Also,
Brilliant.
something
Stadio
just
podcast,
now we're
wonderful.
doing recommendations. I was recommending to you both earlier. What's it called? It's called A Podcast About Tactics by John Mackenzie.
Good man, John Mackenzie.
It's very good. It's a Patreon podcast, so it's behind a paywall, but I think you can pay £2 or £1 a month and listen to it. There's about 3 or 4 episodes a month that are released. Interviews with people, some people from the game, some analysts from outside the game. I've been listening to it recently. It's very good.
Yeah.
And I like that it's behind a paywall because I can steal all the things and bring them to the front of the paywall. Yeah. That's right, Mackenzie. Okay. Anyone got anything else to say? Don, you want to say anything? Cheese. Don says cheese. JJ Bull the Bullet. Cheese.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely time.
And Seb Ballon d'Or. Cheese.
Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Design.
Yes. We'll be back again. Well, I won't be because I'll be on holiday.
Oh, yeah.
But next week, JJ and Seb will be doing the live stream. I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
You're having a proper holiday.
I'm not on the podcast. Well, it's a proper holiday in my house.
You're not going to be here. But
I'm going on annual leave.
do you remember the last time you went on annual leave? I spoke to you the day that you left, and then I I would just talk to you as a person rather than a work person.
Sure.
About 10 days later, and you were in exactly the same position.
Yeah.
It looked like you hadn't moved. That you
No,
just
I've got a couple of spots.
Okay, yeah.
I said to my wife the other day, can we rearrange the room? Because I don't know about you guys, but I use 3 spots in my house.
If you move the rock slightly more along, you can get underneath it.
Right.
To hide from the sun.
That would be good, yeah. But do you know what I mean? You've worked out the efficient pathing in your home.
Yeah.
There's areas of my rooms that I just never go. There's a room I never go in, ever.
What room's that?
The spare room. I think I went in there once, like, months ago.
What's in there?
Spare stuff.
Do you really never go in there?
I know, like, the route to the... I sit in one place on the couch. I sit at my desk. I sleep in the same position every night.
Omar is accusing you of having rich man problems.
No, it's not about the size of the house, Omar. It doesn't matter how big the room is. It's just like, even if you had a small room, sure, you'd take up more of the space. I take up a lot of space in a small room, as you can see.
You're a mighty man.
From my size. But, either you work out the most efficient way to get from A to B. And in my house, I only have an A, B, and a C. D if you count the loo. This is live. Let's go.
Let's stop this right
Let's
now.
stop talking.
Yeah, we're going to bad territory.
Yeah. Take care. I'll be back in a few weeks' time, and until then, I'll leave you in the safe and warm hands of Seb and JJ. They'll be here to take care of you all. Bye now. Bye.
Toodaloo.